did you make it about, this re-election campaign?
It's so interesting because he was the disruptor candidate from 2016, but now he is the incumbent. And incumbency comes with a lot of benefits, okay? You've got the plane, you got the organization, and now you have a record. He's got a big war chest, and he has organization like he's never had before. I think I would make it about three things. Number one, keep the economy hot as possible. He's got to figure out a way to maybe moderate the things that could hurt it, such as the trade wars, try to land that deal with the Chinese, avoid a debt default crisis. The Congress is already trying to work that out. And to the extent that he possibly can, if the Democrats are willing, when they do that one bill that they'll get through this year, if they'll cut a deal on infrastructure, try to do that and show that you have some ability to move things forward. Second thing I would do is define the Democrat. So he was very good at defining all of the Republicans that he ran against in the 2015 and 2016 primary. Now he has to do that to the Democrat. Voters disliked Hillary a lot more than they loved Donald Trump. Now, as you can see at this rally, there's a lot of people that love Donald Trump, but the Democrats are also very energized, so he has to define them very quickly. And then the third thing is, I think he has to figure out a way to remain the change candidate as much as he possibly can. He's more anti-establishment than any Democrat running, except for perhaps Bernie Sanders. And 8 of the last 10 elections were all about change. Those are the ones that were successful. So how do you run as an incumbent and still say that that you are the change candidate? I think he would have to say, I got so much done. You can't even believe how much I got done. It's amazing. It's beautiful, all that I got done. But there's still a lot more to do. That's how I would do it. And I would also try to throw as much chaos into the Democratic primary as possible.
So that's it right there. So let's assume, and I actually don't believe this, but judging by today's numbers, it would be fair to assume that he'd be facing off against Joe Biden.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be wiser to highlight the radical elements in the Democratic Party, Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, the radicals in the House, and try to tie the opponent to those figures?
I think that the more that President Trump, in his reelection efforts, can push the Democrats further to the left, the better off he will be. We've already seen Joe Biden have to go left to where he's been for decades. The Hyde Amendment on abortion funding, China, for example, the crime bill, we'll see how he does on that. Next week, when he does the debates, he is the tallest oak in the yard, and all of those other Democrats are going to want to chop him down. So I think the more that President Trump can put a spotlight on that, focus on that chaos, push them to the left, the better off he will be, and the better off that the other members of Congress could be that are running for re-election or those that are just running for election. The 31 House seats that went Democrat, that gave Nancy Pelosi the Speaker's gavel, those are up for grabs again in 2020. And this time, instead of like 2018, this time you have President Trump at the top of the ticket, and maybe those seats could flip back to Republicans if they play their cards right.
So we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but I can't resist asking you, the Senate, does that likely stay in Republican hands?
Yes, it does. And actually, there are people that work on the Senate side in Republican politics. It's just a good year for Republicans, but it's also the possibility that they could pick up a seat or two. The Michigan race is going to be very interesting to watch. I think that Republicans are concerned about Arizona and Colorado. But other than that, I think they feel pretty good about things.
Yeah, those states have changed an awful lot. Dana Farino, who has not changed except for the better. Great to see you tonight. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Last night, the president tweeted that ICE will soon begin large-scale deportations of millions of illegal immigrants to the United States. Millions. Buck Sexton is a radio host, very familiar with what's happening on the border. He's been there recently. He joins us tonight. Buck, thanks a lot for coming on. What do you make of this? This seems like a pretty dramatic departure from where we've been. I think a lot of people, certainly me included, would welcome this. Is it going to happen?
I think it's going to start, Tucker, and that will have a couple of effects. One is that if he does, in fact, go forward with this, and there's now confirmation from senior administration officials. I was speaking to somebody earlier today who was saying, no, this is real. This is going to happen. They're going to start telling people who have had all their due process, who are in the country illegally, who've been adjudicated, and it has been found that they should be deported under the law. They're told that they have to go. Democrats are going to oppose this. Democrats are going to say, well, hold on a second, that's not right, that's not fair, which also gives the lie to what they've been saying all along about the Central American migrant crisis, the so-called asylum seekers, that, oh, we promise once they get their process, sure, we'll be okay with them being deported. That's obviously not the case. So they're really in on this scam, and it's going to force Democrats to have to admit that they don't believe in the rule of law. They like the process until it comes to an end, and then the process isn't really for them anymore.
So is there some good reason why I should, I don't know, pay my taxes or register my car? I mean, if people who are not allowed to live in this country, apparently, according to Democrats, can ignore the law, then why am I obeying it?
Well, I think what you've seen from Democrats, especially with the Mueller probe going on in the background for quite some time, is, you know, if you are a friend of Donald Trump's and you misremember what you had for breakfast 6 months ago, people are cheering for you to go to prison. I mean, there are prominent Democrats who seem to think that Manafort in solitary confinement is some great justice and the country is achieving a better future because of it. But the massive and systematic fraud, and that's what it is, that has been perpetrated at our southern border, with Democrats really complicit in it by pretending that we don't all know what's happening. We don't know that people are lying about being family units. We don't know that people are lying about being or fleeing violence when in fact they just are economic migrants who want a better future. This is going to finally bring into focus at a perfect time, because we're heading to the election, that the Democrats are effectively an open borders party, and they only believe in the law when they like the law.
This is a winning issue, I think, for
it is.
the president. Buck Sexton, thanks a lot for that. Good to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Well, from the other side, in an Instagram video broadcast, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York denounced holding facilities on the United States border as, quote, concentration camps. Ned Ryan is founder and CEO of American Majority, and he joins us tonight. Ned, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, good to be with you.
Concentration camps. What do you make of that description?
Well, first of all, it's deeply insulting for her to compare our very humane detention centers to what the Nazis did with, their concentration camps and exterminating 6 million Jews. The amazing part to me is it seems lost on AOC that these illegal aliens are coming of their own volition. Nobody is compelling them to come. They come here illegally, and yet we still treat them very humanely. And to say that that's the moral equivalent of what the Nazis did, of forcing Jews into concentration camps and then gassing millions of them to death, it's insulting, and it diminishes the horrors of the Holocaust, Tucker.
Did you all know better?
Well, yes, and the sacrifice of the American soldiers who helped defeat Nazi Germany and liberate the camps.
That's right.
The whole thing is grotesque. But it suggests
this is
that
a game to them.
Those illegal aliens are being held because of their ethnicity or their religion or something, because of who they are rather than because of what they've done.
That's also insulting. This is a game to them, Tucker. First of all, it calls into question. I truly believe they don't believe in national sovereignty anymore. But this is a game to them, for them to invoke the Holocaust and Hitler and the Nazis to use as a rhetorical bludgeon against their opponents that don't agree with them on anything. And they know they can get away with it because their fellow travelers in the mainstream media, instead of fact-checking them, actually are tying themselves in knots today, defending her, making outrageous statements. I mean, even saying, one CNN senior editor said Auschwitz was a work and concentration camp, and it got so bad that Chris Hayes had to be fact-checked by the Auschwitz Museum and said you should probably get educated on what actually happened during the Holocaust.
Yeah, that's also disgusting. Ned Ryan, thank you.
It is disgusting. Thanks, Tucker.
Disgusting.
Our defense secretary out is not derailing and shocking revelations of domestic violence.
To the Middle East.
How did the president not know?
Iranian attack
And a photographer comes face to face with a gunman as he's shooting up a federal building. What made him take pictures instead of running the other way? Let's go out front.
Decide over prior domestic.
Good evening, I'm Aaron Burnett. Out front tonight, the breaking news. President Trump about to formally launch his 2020 campaign. These are live pictures out of Orlando.
For coming on. So the obvious
Defense
question
Secretary
first,
out
are we,
is not
as we appear to be, moving toward conflict with Iran?
Look, let's hope not, because if the president looks out on the sea of faces he has in front of him tonight, all of these supporters, he needs to be reminded of two things. First, what Buck has already covered about securing the border, and secondly, about his promise to end these pointless, endless wars in the Middle East. He needs to get us out of Afghanistan. He needs to get out of Syria. He needs to get out of Iraq. if he can't turn to an audience like the one he's got tonight a year from now and say, look, I promised, I delivered, I think he's not going to see everybody show up at the ballot box that he would like to be there.
I think it's wise advice. Colonel Doug Weger, thank you very much. We're going to go now to Orlando. The president is being introduced. We're joined now by Fox Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry. Ed, so this is the official kickoff of the 2020 campaign.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker, in many ways, this has been game on for some time now. As you know, the president has already done many rallies across the country. But yes, this is the official kickoff. And it just proves to us what we've known since at least 2000, Florida, Florida, Florida. That was a big part of the president flipping the narrative around on the mainstream media, which said again and again that the math doesn't work, that he simply could not get to 270 electoral votes. Once he turned Florida and then he went up, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, obviously that's what got him far beyond that number. And look, it's instructive that the same, wise people who say they seem to know everything about politics are telling us again the president's behind in all these battlegrounds. Quinnipiac, for example, a poll out just a couple of hours ago saying the president's down 9 points in the state of Florida to Joe Biden. Guess what? Quinnipiac had Andrew Gillum, the Democrat, winning the governorship by 7 points in 2018. He's not the governor tonight as the president stands on that stage in Orlando. So these polls can be off, and I think that's one of many things this president is banking on because of the strong economy.
I wonder if the Trump campaign, believes that the Democratic nominee will be Joe Biden.
That's their expectation. That is in private why they say the president has spent a fair bit of time on social media going after Joe Biden. But on the other hand, you can see as this Democratic race plays out that Elizabeth Warren and others on the left seem to have a lot more energy and enthusiasm on their side, which makes us wonder tonight, is Joe Biden the front runner in name only right now? His numbers have come down a little, not a lot, a little, but look. This is the kickoff for the president tonight. The kickoff really for the Democrats is next week when they have their first debates. And so this finally is, we're here and we're going to find out whether Joe Biden is going to stay the front runner or not.
So it looks like the First Lady may be speaking. This is interesting. We're going to go to this. Ed Henry, thank you so much.
It has been my honor to serve as First Lady of this incredible country for the past 2 years. And I'm excited to do it for 6 more. I'm proud of all that my husband, this administration, and our entire family have done on behalf of the American people in such a short time. He truly loves this country and will continue to work on your behalf as long as he can. All of us will. Thank you all again for being here tonight. And now, I want to introduce my husband, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
We had such luck in Orlando. We love being in Orlando. Thank you. Thank you, Orlando. What a turnout. What a turnout. I said, this is a very big arena for a Tuesday night. I said, if we have about 3 or 4 empty seats, the fake news will say headlines. He didn't fill up the arena, So I said, maybe we shouldn't take a chance. Maybe we shouldn't go to Orlando. We should go someplace else. And I said, no, I think we'll go to Orlando. And not only did we fill it up, but we had 120,000 requests. That means you folks have come out very, very good. Congratulations. I want to thank our great Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen Pence, and our magnificent First Lady, Melania. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be back in my second home. That's what it is. It's my second home. In many cases, I think I could say it's my first home. You want to know that? It's the great state of Florida. Very historic, because exactly 4 years ago this week I announced my campaign for President of the United States. And it turned out to be more than just a political campaign. It turned out to be a great political movement because of you. A great movement. It's a movement made up of hard-working patriots who love their country, love their flag, love their children, and who believe that a nation must care for its own citizens first. Together we stared down a corrupt and broken political establishment, and we restored government of, by, and for the people. Our country is now thriving, prospering, and booming, and frankly, it's soaring to incredible new heights. Our economy is the envy of the world, perhaps the greatest economy we've had in the history of our country. And as long as you keep this team in place, we have a tremendous way to go. Our future has never, ever looked brighter or sharper. The fact is, the American dream is back. It's bigger and better and stronger than ever before. "2016 was not merely another four-year election. This was a defining moment in American history. Ask them right there. By the way, that is a lot of fake news back there. That's a lot. That's a lot. You know what I say? The amount of press we have tonight reminds me of the Academy Awards before it went political and their ratings went down the tubes. This was our chance to reclaim our government from a permanent political class that enriched itself at your expense. As I said, on a wonderful, beautiful day at my inauguration, we did not merely transfer power from one party to another, but we transferred power back to you, the proud citizens of the United States of America. We stared down the unholy alliance of lobbyists and donors and special interests who made a living bleeding our country dry. That's what we've done. We broke down the doors of Washington back rooms where deals were cut to close our companies, give away your jobs, shut down our factories, and surrender your sovereignty and your very way of life, and we've ended it. We took on a political machine that tried to take away your voice and your vote. They tried to take away your dignity and your destiny. But we will never let them do that, will we? Many times I said we would drain the swamp, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're draining the swamp. And that's why the swamp is fighting back so viciously and violently. For the last 2.5 years, we have been under siege. And with the Mueller report, we won. And now they want a do-over. They want a do-over. Let's do it again. Didn't work out too well. Let's do it again. They want a do-over. No president should ever have to go through this again. It is so bad for our great country. A hoax. The great hoax. Our patriotic movement has been under assault from the very first day. We accomplished more than any other president has in the first 2.5 years of a presidency, and under circumstances that no president has had to deal with before, because we did, in the middle of the great and illegal witch hunt, things that nobody have been able to accomplish, not even close. Nobody's done what we have done in 2.5 years. We went through the greatest witch hunt in political history. The only collusion was committed by the Democrats, the fake news media and their operatives, and the people who funded the phony dossier, crooked Hillary Clinton and the DNC. It was all an illegal attempt to overturn the results of the election, spy on our campaign, which is what they did, and subvert our democracy. Remember the insurance policy, just in case Hillary Clinton lost. Remember the insurance policy. They appointed 18 very angry Democrats to try to take down our incredible movement. After 2 years, 1.4 million pages of documents, 500 search warrants, 500 witnesses, 2,800 subpoenas, and 40 FBI agents working round the clock. What did they come up with? No collusion. And the facts that led our great Attorney General to determine no obstruction. No collusion, no obstruction. And they spent $40 million on this witch hunt. $40 million. That's right, they spent $40 million, probably a hell of a lot more than that. And think about it. Nobody's been tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. Nobody. We call it the Russian hoax. Remember President Obama's famous line caught on the open mic, secretly telling the Russian president to, quote, inform Vladimir that after my election, I'll have more flexibility, okay? Remember that? Remember that? A lot of people remember that. I remembered it. I saw it happen. I didn't like it. They don't bring it up. The fake news will never bring it up. And in September, just before the election, the FBI told President Obama about possible Russian interference, and he did nothing because he thought that Hillary Clinton, crooked Hillary, was going to win. That's why he did nothing. He did nothing. I built up the military, imposed sanctions on Russia, and provided alternative energy sources for all over Europe that competed very, very strongly with Russia. We are, by the way, the #1 producer of energy in the world because of what we've done right now. The Democrats don't care about Russia. They only care about their own political power. They went after my family, my business, my finances, my employees, almost everyone that I've ever known or worked with. But they are really going after you. That's what it's all about. It's not about us, it's about you. They tried to erase your vote, erase your legacy of the greatest campaign and the greatest election probably in the history of our country. And they wanted to deny you the future that you demanded and the future that America deserves and that now America is getting. Democrat opponents are driven by hatred, prejudice, and rage. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy our country as we know it. Not acceptable. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. To understand Democrats' ruthless tactics, look no further than the United States Supreme Court and our court system nationwide. I will soon have appointed my 145th judge. President Obama was very nice to us. He didn't fill the positions. I get there the first day. How many judges do I have to appoint? They said, sir, 139. Now it's 145. And we've just finished number 107, already approved, sitting on the bench. How about that? And by the time we're finished with the rest, we will have a record percentages. Our percentage will be a record, except for one person. One person has a higher percentage than your favorite president, Donald Trump. Do you know who that president is? He's got a higher percentage than me, and it's devastating. His name is George Washington. George is at 100%, and there's no way I'm going to get there no matter what I tell you. Got 100%. Well, he was first, so he just appointed them all, and that was it. That's going to be a hard record to beat. They want to take away your judges. They want to pack the court with far-left ideologues. And they want to radicalize our Kavanaugh, highly respected. They didn't just try to win. They tried to destroy him with false and malicious accusations. And thank you, Marco, and thank you, Lindsay, wherever you may be. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. Stand up. Yeah, Lindsey Graham was doing okay in South Carolina. Isn't that great? Now he's through the roof. Great, thank you. Great job, thank you. Great people, all of them. They tried to ruin the family of now Justice Kavanaugh. They tried to ruin his career. They tried to ruin his life. They even wanted to impeach him on fraudulent charges. Those charges were a fraud. He did nothing wrong, all in pursuit of political domination and control. Just imagine what this angry left-wing mob would do if they were in charge of this country. Imagine if we had a Democrat president and a Democrat Congress in 2020. They would shut down your free speech, use the power of the law to punish their opponents, which they're trying to do now anyway. They'll always be trying to shield themselves. They would strip Americans of their constitutional rights while flooding the country with illegal immigrants in the hopes it will expand their political base and they'll get votes someplace down the future. That's what it's about. And we are building the wall. We're going to have over 400 miles of wall built by the end of next year. It's moving rapidly. Moving very rapidly. And you know, we couldn't get the wall approved by the Democrats, even though they voted for it 4 years ago and 6 years ago and didn't get built. But they voted for it. All of a sudden, Trump is president. We don't want a wall. Can you imagine? Can you imagine those caravans without having the barriers and walls that we've already put up and that are up? This country would be a mess like you wouldn't believe. So the wall is moving along. It's moving along rapidly. It's beautiful. I changed the design. It's stronger, bigger, better, and cheaper. Cheaper. A lot cheaper. You know, sometimes when they don't give you the money, you have to make it cheaper. It's not going to happen, but it's going well. Instead of bringing us together as one America, Democrats want to splinter us into factions and tribes. They want us divided. Not going to happen to the Republicans anymore. It's not going to happen. This election is not merely a verdict on the amazing progress we've made. It's a verdict on the un-American conduct of those who tried to undermine our great democracy and undermine you. And by the way, on July 4th in Washington, D.C., come on down. We're going to have a big day. Bring your flags. Bring those flags. Bring those American flags. July 4th, we're going to have hundreds of thousands of people. We're going to celebrate America. Sounds good, right? July 4th. Celebrate America. This election is a verdict on whether we want to live in a country where the people who lose an election refuse to concede and spend the next 2 years trying to shred our Constitution and rip your country apart. You remember during one of the debates when crooked Hillary said, "If I win, are you going to support me?" But I must be honest, I didn't give her a great answer. That might have been my hardest question during the debates. Isn't it amazing that it worked the other way around, right? Isn't it amazing? If you want to know how the system is rigged, just compare how they came after us for 3 years with everything they have versus the free pass they gave to Hillary and her aides after they set up an illegal server, destroyed evidence, deleted and acid-washed 33,000 emails, exposed classified information, and turned the State Department into a pay-for-play cash machine. Emails deleted. Think of it. I keep mentioning, you know, there was a lot of corruption on the other side. But, you know, the simplest thing, they get a subpoena from the United States Congress, and they decide that they're not going to give it. So, Lindsey Graham, they delete and they acid wash, which is very expensive. Nobody does it. They acid wash those emails. Never to be seen again, but we may find them somewhere deep in the State Department.
Incumbents win an 80% clip, and every single incumbent president since FDR has avoided recession has won a re-election. I like his...
But can you imagine if I got a subpoena? Think of this. If I got a subpoena for emails, if I deleted one email like a love note to Melania, it's the electric chair for Trump. 33,000 emails. But let's see what happens. We now have a great Attorney General. Let's see what happens. So if you want to shut down this rigged system once and for all, then show up November 3rd, that's your day, big day, and vote, vote, vote. We're going to have a big, big day. Thank you. And remember, the only thing these corrupt politicians will understand is an earthquake at the ballot box. That's what they will understand, and they're going to see it. We did it once, and now we will do it again, and this time we're going to finish the job. And this time should be a lot easier because we have done so much with our military, with our vets, with the Second Amendment, with our regulations, with the biggest tax cut in history, with getting rid of so many different problems, so many different things, including, by the way, the individual mandate on Obamacare, one of the worst things anybody's ever had to live through. We got rid of the individual mandate. Right? How many people are happy they no longer have to pay for the privilege of not paying for bad health insurance? How many people are happy? Bad health care. So every time you don't have to make out a check in order not to have health care, think of that. Think of that. This is the only country you pay for the very distinct privilege of not having to pay, but you had to pay a lot. Now you don't have to pay anymore. You don't want it, you don't have to take it. The individual mandate, Mike, we got rid of it. That was a big deal. The people trying to stop our movement are the same Washington insiders who spent their careers rigging the system so your losses will be their gains. You know that. These are the same career politicians who presided over decades of flat wages, the loss of our manufacturing jobs, 60,000. Can you believe that? 60,000. Who would believe that number? And you know how I know it's true? Because if it wasn't, I've been using it a lot. The fake news would have headlines. Trump used a phony number. They'd have headlines. It'd be the biggest story. Trump used, well, they never corrected it, so I assume, fellas, 60,000 shuttered factories. We closed up 60,000 factories. It didn't seem right. It didn't seem like it would be possible. An avalanche of job-killing regulations, a growing wealth gap, and one ruinous trade deal after another. By the way, those trade deals are getting very good, folks. You will see. We just completed the deal with South Korea. Great deal. We're working with Mexico and Canada. We have to get the Democrats to approve it. We want it to be bipartisan. As you know, you may have read a couple of things about China. I spoke to President Xi, terrific president, a great leader of China. Spoke to him this morning at length, and we'll see what happens. But we're either going to have a good deal and a fair deal, or we're not going to have a deal at all, and that's okay too. Because we are taking in billions and billions of dollars into our treasury, and companies are leaving China because they want to avoid paying these large tariffs. And by the way, when the fake news tells you that you're paying, in the case of China, they've devalued their currency. That helps them. And you know what else they're doing? They're subsidizing those companies. And you're not paying very much if you're paying anything at all. The case of China. And we are taking billions and billions of dollars in. And remember this, and you know it as well as I do, we have never taken in 10 cents from China. We would lose $500 billion a year with China. We rebuilt China. They've done a great job, but they took us for suckers, and that includes Obama and Biden. They took us for suckers. $500 billion. $500 billion. Somebody said, you mean 500 million? That's a lot too, right? No, $500 billion. It's actually more than that. I don't want to be too specific, 507. We're fighting against the same far-left politicians that ravaged our great cities and crushed the dreams of African-American middle class, the same people who threw open our borders and allowed drugs, gangs, and illegal labor to devastate our poorest American communities. You know that. Our political opponents look down with hatred on our values and with utter disdain for the people whose lives they want to run. That's the way they've been doing it. And if you take a look at the African American community, how much progress has been made. The lowest unemployment numbers in the history of our country. They called you and us, you remember this? They called us deplorables. That was a mistake. That was a big mistake. I'll never forget, I was making a speech after Hillary used the word deplorables, and I didn't think it was that bad. You know why? She used another word. You know what the other word was? She said deplorables and irredeemables. I think that was worse, but it didn't get picked up. You never know what's going to get picked up. It didn't. I think irredeemables is worse than deplorables. But I'll never forget, I was making a speech the next day. We had a big crowd in a great, great state. And women in particular were wearing, "We are deplorables. The deplorables love you." And there were hundreds and hundreds of people wearing "We are deplorables." And I said, I think Hillary Clinton made a big mistake with that speech. And that is the problem with politics. One word and your career is ruined. You never know. You have to be very careful with the fakers back there. I have news for Democrats who want to return us to the bitter failures and betrayals of the past. We are not going back. We're going on to victory. Going on to victory. Because they'll all take it away as fast as it came. And as Mike Pence said a little while ago, that's why we want a little more time. It's going to be cemented. It's going to be cemented. You know, we have a big decision to make. You know what I'm going to say? We have to come up with a theme for the new campaign, right? Is it going to be Make America Great Again, which is probably and possibly the greatest theme in the history of politics, I think. Make America Great Again. MAGA country, right? MAGA country. We're in MAGA country, that I can tell you. But you know, today we had a massive day on the stock market. A lot of good things are happening, but we had a very big day, and we're very close to, I think, our 68th record. You know, we've hit all-time records this tremendous. I think it's actually more than that, but it's a lot. So now I say we've made America great again. But how do you give up the number one, call it theme, logo, statement in the history of politics for a new one? But, you know, there's a new one that really works. And that's called Keep America Great, right? Keep America Great. Keep America great. In other words, make America great again. Well, we've really done it. We've rebuilt our military. It's still in the process. We've taken care of our vets. We've cut the hell out of regulations. You know, I've cut more regulations than any president in the history of our country, regardless of the length of their term. So now I say we have a lot of brilliant talent, campaign people. They cost a fortune, and they never give me any ideas. I'm only kidding. So now I'm saying, what do we use as our theme, as our statement? So I'm going to ask you to vote on it. I'm going to go Make America Great Again, then Keep America Great. Let me just hear by your cheers what you like. So, in all fairness, Make America great, the greatest of all time. I really believe that. The greatest of all time. How do you give up the greatest of all time with a new theme? Because you know what's going to happen? If I do it with a new theme, I give up the greatest of all time. And if I lose, people are going to say, what a mistake that was. But we're not going to lose, so it's not going to matter. We're not going to lose. Right? We're not going to lose. Are you ready? First we do Make America Great Again, then we do Keep America Great. Let me hear it. Ready? Make America Great Again. Not bad. Not bad. If I would have said that 3 years ago, it wouldn't be a contest, right? You ready? Keep America great. Wow. I'm sorry, MAGA country, but that wasn't too close. I thought you had it won, and then I heard this cheer. My eardrums will never be the same. Keep America great. Pretty good. We're going to keep on fighting for every man and woman and child all across this land. With every ounce of heart and might and sweat and soul, we're going to keep making America great again. And then we will indeed keep America great. We will keep it so great. Better than ever before. We're going to keep it better than ever before. And that is why tonight I stand before you to officially launch my campaign for a second term as President of the United States. Thank you. I can promise you that I will never, ever let you down. I won't. And I am profoundly thankful to my family. I have a great family. Melania, Don, Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, Barron, Lara, Jared, Robert, Marianne, Elizabeth, and my late brother, Fred Jr. Thank you. We're joined tonight by many great patriots who fight right by our side. Florida's terrific governor. Thank you, Ron. Our First Lady, Casey DeSantis. What a job you're doing. Thank you. Thank you, Ron, Casey. Thank you. What a job. And again, your great Lieutenant Governor, who I hear is fantastic, right? Jeanette Nunes. Jeanette. Thank you, Jeanette. Beautiful job. Your Florida CFO, Jimmy Patronis. Some really brilliant, tough, wonderful friends who have helped me so much. Senators Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, Marco Rubio of Florida, and Rick Scott of Florida. These are great people. They're tough, they're smart, and they love our country. Thank you very much. Rick, Marco, Lindsey, thank you. Members of Congress, warriors also. Boy, they're up there. You want them protecting you, I'll tell you. They don't stop. Matt Gaetz, Ted Yoho, and Michael Waltz. Thank you. And also all of our friends and our supporters, you've been incredible. This has been a tremendous night. You've really been incredible. Since the very first day I walked through the doors of the White House, I have never forgotten who sent me there. You did. You did. You did. You did. You did. You all did. Yeah. When I get behind my desk in the beautiful Oval Office, I think about only one thing: how the American people are going to win, win, win today. And I'm fighting for you, and I think you see that. Not easy. But I love it, and the reason I love it, because there have been few presidents that have been able to do what we've been able to do for you, and it is a great, great feeling. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. Together, we're breaking the most sacred rule in Washington politics. We are keeping our promises to the American people. Because my only special interest is you. I don't have a special interest. I don't care. I don't care. And by the way, a woman who has been so good, so talented, so wonderful, and we're sort of going to be losing her. I have a feeling she's going to be running for a certain gubernatorial position. Don't worry about it, Ron. It's not going to be in Florida. It won't be in Florida, I promise you, Casey. She'd be tough, right? But a woman who's a special woman, and her father, by the way, he's out there fighting for us all the time. Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
President's re-election campaign officially underway as of tonight. We'll have coverage of that tomorrow and for the next year and a half. But live coverage of the president's announcement continues tonight on Sean Hannity's show. See you tomorrow.
The president introducing Sarah Huckabee Sanders. He has announced he's running for re-election. My opening monologue, full reaction. Let's go back. Well, now to Sarah Huckabee Sanders as the re-election campaign of the president kicked off tonight in Orlando.
Thank you, Mr. President. This has been truly the honor of a lifetime, one of the most incredible experiences anybody could ever imagine. And that's because I've had the chance to be on the front row of history and watch you drastically change our country for the better. You've made America great. You're going to continue to make America great. I couldn't be prouder to be part of your team. I'm going to go spend a little time with my kids, but no one will be a stronger voice